Okay, before we get started, please understand that any advice in today's session is of a general nature only and that your personal circumstances have not been taken into consideration. Okay? Alright, so let's get stuck into it straight away. Let's have a look at what happened last week, what's happening this week from the fundamentals, anything in particular that's basically taking up the headlines, so to speak. Well, of course, China has just been in a spiral. The Chinese stock markets moved something like about 35% in the first week and a half of the year. Circuit breaker switches to stop trading activated pretty much very early on, and then they basically got turned off, and everything has been in free fall. Australia is one of those countries that we are very dependent at the moment to the Chinese market. So in essence, if they're not doing very, very well, it's affecting our Australian dollar. Now, last week we spoke that if we got the right kind of cocktail, that if a certain US data and the continuation of the Chinese downfall was the perfect mix, and all we basically needed was just a little bit of bad data on the Australian side, and we could be moving towards that 66.5-ish range. Now, we did move significantly. We'll have a look at that in a moment. I guess the major things to take from what's happened this week is that a lot of the traders are moving their money towards the euro and the yen. They're seeing it as a bit of a safe haven, especially this week where it's dominated with so much US data. Okay, so if we have a look at what we have on our books for this particular week, we are littered with US data for the week. So a lot of money's already moved towards the euro and towards the yen. Okay, the sterling continues to fall rapidly, and largely that was on the back of the Bank of England. The board voted 8-1 in favour of keeping rates unchanged. So when that's so unanimous, basically it sends a clear message that there is no intentions on the short horizon of raising interest rates for the pound. So in essence, the pound fell even more, and that coupled up with construction figures which slumped and indicating that the housing market is on the down. Okay, so the sterling is copying quite a heavy beating, even though the US is not particularly strong. It's just that the pound is just much decreasing in weakness at a quicker rate than the US. For the Aussie and to large extent to the Kiwi as well, China is affecting us, and it's dragged us way down as well. Now, in terms of what we've got for this particular week, obviously we've got the US data that I've just highlighted out. Sorry. For the euro, we have the rates decision. Nobody expects anything really dramatic to happen there. Probably more important is going to be PMI figures for France and Germany. For the euro, that'll be the highlight, and of the euro, the German sentiment, which is tomorrow evening. Okay, I believe that probably due to the nature of the data that we have with us this week, possibly the Euro USD is going to be the one that is going to be the most vulnerable towards the data itself. Okay, so take note of those times. As always, these times here are in my local time, which is Australian Eastern Standard, otherwise Sydney time, daylight savings time. And just make sure that you're aware of when these announcements happen so that we don't get caught up in a trade accidentally that we didn't want to be in, especially if you're taking a short-term trade. Okay, so let's bring our charts. Let's see what we have in store, and we'll kick it off with the Aussie dollar. Now, last week, remember, when we started the class, we were just in here somewhere, and I just missed that trade. And really wanted to take that trade, try to get in with a pending order. Didn't happen. The market did not retrace back enough, and consequently it's shot straight down. That was that converging triangle that we've been monitoring. We we also said last week, let's look for an opportunity of a pullback, see if we can get some kind of an entry. Our pullback came there. There's the candle with a fractal, but it didn't give us an entry. So there's no inside candle, no engulfing candle. So essentially we missed out. The only way you could have caught this if you were trading price action was if you had switched to a 4-hour chart. If you look at the 4-hour chart, we had entry, a really nice entry right there. There's my little engulfing candle on the fractal candle. That would have been the opportunity had you been on a 4-hour chart. Now I wasn't on that one. There was another one over here in there, and that was the clearest one. This one here is a body engulfing, so perhaps maybe you would have got something there, but definitely that one and this one. But again, like I said, if you weren't on a 4-hour chart, you would not have seen it. I stayed on a daily chart the whole week, so I did not see that. And I guess for this week, come in for the Aussie dollar. I want to be a seller. We possibly got a T chaser entry here, probably on this candle. Is anybody short Aussie dollar based off a T chaser entry? Can I just get a show of hands? If anybody is short Aussie dollar based off a T chaser entry. Okay, Simon was, but he's out now. Okay, so that trade would have entered right there. Like right now, it would be at about 160 plus, but it was as good as 240. Okay. What we're going to do with the Aussie dollar is we're going to stick to the same plan because nothing really has happened. I can kind of, one thing that I like to point out, notice how we highlighted this level down there and notice how we shot straight through it. Okay, took out a whole bunch of people that had their stops over there and the market went straight down and it's pulling back now. So what I'd like to do is I'd still like to be a seller on the Aussie dollar, but I still gotta, let me get rid of this. I still gotta wait to see if I can get some kind of a pullback, get a nice price action entry. I believe if we pull back towards the 70 level, we could get another entry to be sellers. So what we're looking for on that pullback is we're looking for specifically price action, so either an inside bar, an engulfing bar, or possibly a 3 candle sequence like a shooting star or something along those lines. Okay, at the moment we have nothing there, so we need to wait and see if we can possibly land that to get us into that trade. Is everybody clear on our strategy for the Aussie dollar? Now this is of course off a daily chart, so this trade may be ready next week. It could be 4 or 5 candles before we actually see it. Okay, all right, so let's move on. That's our Aussie dollar for this week. Okay, Euro USD. Now we said that the Euro USD was a currency that at the moment is finding support because traders are moving towards it. The euro, sorry. So it saw a nice pullback and a move forward. It kind of, we're at a clear level now in our triangle. We've got our 1, 2 touches down the bottom. We've got 1, 2, and we've got 3 and 4, or let's call these just 1 touch, 3 touches. So we've basically, now this is important. Notice this candle here, just this one that I'm circling right now. The high of that candle actually took out the high of this candle there. Now, when we trade price action like a breakout, we are allowed to take that trade. Don't forget, we were looking for it as well. But the condition was that we needed that candle to end up looking like a very strong bullish candle. In other words, we really wanted that candle to look something like this. We've not much wick, and if that candle had looked something like that, then we would be happy to, at the open, take the long and start to ride it. Consequently, that did not happen. It pulled back and it left that long wick at the top, which basically now opens up the opportunity for an inside candle situation right here. So what we're looking for is we need to wait for this candle to complete. At the completion of this candle, as long as it does not make a higher high, we will have a fractal on that one. And if it stays within these boundaries, we will also have an inside candle situation. So in other words, let's say that this candle finished exactly as it is right now. If that was the case, tomorrow there will be the fractal there, and what you can do immediately is you could place a pending sell at the break of the low, all right, to go sell. And the trade that we'd be taking, essentially it's a counter trend trade, but we're trading the parallel channel. So we're trading a bounce off the channel. Even though this went beyond the channel, it's not a significant amount that it went beyond, and it's the wick only. Okay, so I'm still happy to try and attempt this trade. I just have to wait for this candle to finish tomorrow, and then it will be set. As always, if this is how the candle ends up tomorrow and you place your pending sell, should the next candle go up and take out that high there, cancel your order out. Okay, everybody clear on that? We all know what the game plan is. So how early can we place that pending sell? If it's all correct, when is the earliest that we can place it? Give me a time. Tomorrow is correct. What time? 9 a.m. Thank you, Alan. 9 a.m. tomorrow, because that's when the current candle finishes at 9 a.m. For some of you, it's a different time because you're located somewhere else. So Ray, 6 a.m., you must be in Perth or Singapore along that timeline. Okay, so just the answer is when the new candle starts, that's when we can place the order. Okay, so that's our Euro USD. The channel looks really good. Let's measure out. If let's say the trade was the candle finished like it is right now, basically we'd have a stop of around about 100, 110 pips. That's well within, we can make that work. There's no dramas at all that, and there would be plenty of space to come down towards our 2-to-1 target. Okay, so put that one on your radar for tomorrow morning. Euro USD. Let's move on. GBP USD. Okay. Now this has just been falling in one direction. Last week we made new lows, and we're making lower lows. Let me see, when's the last time we are now at the low at a key level here. This level here is 2010, I think. I'm on a monthly chart. I just switched over just temporarily. So that's the 2010 low. So we're at the 6-year low right now. So the market will remember this level. Okay. So let's see what happens. I'm not prepared to trade off it. Not just like that, but I'm keen to see what happens. If anything, let me switch back to a daily chart. On the GBP USD, the only thing that I really want to be doing is selling. All right, so I don't just want to sell right now. So what I'm going to look for is the same as what we're looking for on the Aussie dollar. Any kind of a pullback. If we get the price action that we want on a fractal candle on the pullback, then we will hit that and continue the ride down. Okay, Simon says it's not a T chaser yet. Actually, Simon, there was a T chaser. If you were trading the T chaser strategy, your entry is here. This is your entry candle right here. It matches up to that right there, and your original stop on the trade would have been there, and now the stop is bumped down to there. And just to let you know, that trade would be up about 605 pips on it. Okay, so we could we could get another, we can get multiple confirmations, and when we do the T-Chaser strategy, I'll cover that. How do we treat second entries and third signal entries when you're already in the trade? But in this one, you would be in it and you'd be up plus 600 odd. Okay, so what I'm looking for is the market to pull back. What I'd like to see is, I'll just draw it out for anybody who's a little bit newer. Say some kind of a green candle like this. Let's give it a bit of a wick, followed by, say, little red candle like this. Let's give it a little bit of a wick. The fractal will appear up there, and then what I specifically want is, that's an inside candle. When we break that, I want to trade downward. So if the market pulls back and shows me this type of sequence, that is my entry into it as a sell. Okay, now when we get into a nice run like this, with your daily candles, you should be able to pick up a lot of those trades. See, there was one over there. This one happened in between Christmas and the New Year, so we were not able to take that. And I think we spoke about this one last week. And that entry there, look at the run that it's basically given you. But when it's on a run, sometimes we can just drop down a time division, say a 4 hour, and let's have a look. Let's see if we got entries here. Um, that one was, but I think that cancelled it out, so no. Sometimes we just don't get the entry, which is just annoying. Actually, there's none. Okay, but stick to your daily, and we'll wait for it, and we'll look for the correct entry. It just makes it easier to make your trading decision. And that's one of the main reasons that I like price action trading, because there's not too much sort of oh, is it a correct trade or is it not a correct trade? It's very black and white for me, and black and white makes it easy for me to say yes or no. Okay, so GBP in summary, we are on a downfall. Construction numbers have gone down. The Bank of England has unanimously voted to keep rates the same. So we basically don't want to be buying, and simply because we've already moved so much distance in one direction, that is not a good enough reason to just buy. All right, so let's wait for the pullback, because I don't know when it's going to happen. Eventually it will happen, I just don't know when. And when it does, let's see if we can get a setup to sell again. Okay, let's move on. Gold. Okay, before I talk about the gold charts, just reminded of some major news that happened over the weekend. For those of you who know or do not know, the trading embargo that was placed upon Iran has been lifted. Okay, since they are now complying to ban their nuclear or weapon development. So what that actually means is that countries can do business with Iran, and Iran, as we know, what do they produce a lot of? Anybody? Oil, yes. So what's happened to the oil market? It was already falling, but now if Iran is going to, well, it's already producing it. It wants to put its oil out to the market. So we've got this massive surplus of oil. So oil has dropped again. We even touched 29. Okay, so just when I was speaking of a commodity, it just reminded me of that. So I just thought I'd just let you aware of what's happening. So if anybody is trading oil, there's big surpluses on that. So we just got to trade what you see. Okay, so it's nice to know the fundamentals, but I always prefer to trade what I see. Okay, so gold, we said we had broken up, and we said let's wait for the pullback. We got the pullback. Unfortunately, I didn't get a clean setup. This is not quite an inside candle because that green one has gone too far up, which spoilt it. Otherwise, that would be a nice trade to go up. So just purely because my rule says I got to trade the price action. For me, this is no trade. If you're a breakout trader, a straight out breakout trader, you may have entered this trade around about here. That's where I would have entered it if I was just purely trading breakouts. If I saw it late, it would have been even better because I would have entered it about here. But because I'm doing the price action, I am actually not in this trade at all, and I didn't get the setup that I was looking for. So that's a no-go. What I'm gonna be interested in. Oh, let me just give me one moment. I just thought I saw something. One second. Okay, this is a really nice. I actually do like this falling wedge. It's a really, really strong wedge. The only thing I don't like about it is that I'm on a weekly chart to actually extrapolate. So I'll drop back to, I'll leave my lines on there so that I remember where I am. Because if I am a buyer, for example, if I'm a buyer, I want to know how much headspace I have. So if my trade starts to get towards this area up here, I might want to end it a little bit earlier or at least move my stop or lock in some profit because it's going to come up to this resistance line on a weekly chart. Okay, so I'm just going to leave these lines on my chart. It hasn't helped me in terms of being able to pick a trade for us right now. The philosophy still remains the same on this one. Unfortunately, I didn't get the trigger. So now I just need to wait and see if we're going to move towards the top line or the bottom line. But if we get close to these lines up here or back down here, I'm going to be looking for that trade, this trade, and that trade. Okay, those three trades. If we go back towards those lines, all right, or when we go back to those lines. Is everybody clear on gold? Yep, we've got our strategy set for that. Fantastic. All right, so for the time being, we'll just leave it alone and let's carry on. The charts were a little bit, there wasn't a whole lot showing today, but I think the activity of the first 2 weeks has been relatively good. There's been nice movement, so a lot of good charts are in the process of setting up. Like when I talk about process of setting up, I'm referring to some good geometric patterns are starting to surface. I can see the emergence of them, which will provide us some nice trades. Okay, all right. So the US dropped heavily on Friday. The movement towards the yen did that. And remember we said we marked out this hot spot, that grey area that I've got down here. And we marked it out and I said, let's wait and see if anything presents itself. We did get, I think we had that one inside candle, but we broke down. So it was no trade, so there was no damage done. And then when we broke down here, very important, when you're trading a break, like if this was like, for example, a big clean break like that, and I was willing to go short right there, normally if I'm going to take that type of trade, I want to take it of a strong geometric pattern or a very strong trend line. I don't consider this line that we drew on our chart so strong. It was just an area that I was interested in. Whereas, for example, if I drew, I don't know, let's say this matches up. like that line there, I would consider stronger than this grey area over here because it's got better touches. So that's very important to know. So if, for example, this market had gone like this and closed like that, then yes, that's a definitely good break-in candle of a strong trend line. All right, is that clear for everybody? Because I got asked the questions. So a few people said, how come I didn't take this trade short right there? One was because the region was, see these levels are at different heights, okay? So it was just a region that I was interested in as opposed to where this one, it's very, very tight, okay? Is that clear for everybody? Great. Okay. All right. So let's see right now for the US yen. It's just in free fall, isn't it? Were we looking for a pullback on this as well last week? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, we were, but we didn't get it either. The candle sequence through this area there did not support a sell order. Okay. And this particular chart is one of the worst ones that we're carrying right now at the start of the year. It's nothing is super clear on it, so I need it to develop a little bit more. What I'd like to see to this is what I can see here. Give me 1 second. Okay, I don't have as much room to draw on it, but what I'm thinking is this is probably going to come to some level up here, down to here, and then we're going to start to narrow in into something of that nature. Okay, I don't have enough room. I can't move my chart more over to the left, otherwise I draw it better. It's going to be a little bit better angle, but I get the feeling we're going to do a little bit of that. Okay, so let's let this chart develop a little bit more. This is a, more like a little bit of a project at the moment because there's nothing showing on our US yen. Let's carry on. Let's have a look at the Euro yen. Okay, we've got a trade on the Euro yen. So where are we sitting? What's our trade doing? So we're at minus 49 pips on the trade. We were as high as plus 65 or plus 70. We didn't quite reach our 1-to-1 point as yet. The trade still looks valid. The channel is still there, and this is a strange one because a lot of money is moving towards the euro and the yen. So both of these currencies against each other, they're neutralizing each other out, and it's creating this tight trading range. Okay, so right now we just got to wait it out. We do have big euro news this week. So we got what do we have? German and PMI. German and French PMI figures, and we got German sentiment as well. So this could give us the little shake in that direction, or it could give us the little shake and stop us out. And that's just the way that life goes. All right. What I do like about this, if I was going to just be trading trend, all right. So if I'm forget about those channels that are on my chart. If I was just on trends, basically from this point onwards, I am a seller. We've pulled back, so if I analyze this 3 candle sequence, I don't actually have a setup there. I don't have an inside candle to sell into or an engulfing candle to sell into. So I like that. If I did have that signal there, that would bother me a little bit more because I'm currently long on the trade, and then if now all of a sudden I see a sell entry into it, it's kind of like, oh. Now, important to note this, right? Let's say that we were in this trade and we're up, I don't know, plus 70 as an example, like we were on Friday, and then I get my sell entry sometimes I'll take the sell as well. So effectively what I'm doing is I'm kind of like, it's like fully hedged on the trade, but I'll just take the signal that I see and I manage them both as independent trades. All right. So if that scenario happens to us during the course of the Monday classes, I'll explain it and I'll talk you through it. It hasn't happened right now, but when it does, and it will, I'll talk you through that as well. So for this one, since we're all currently still in this trade, I got nothing to say on this one. Let's just keep staying in it and see if we can get something out of it. Lindsay says there was a nice fishing strip trade on the 1 hour chart. Okay, fantastic. Which direction, Lindsay? Probably the sell or a buy or a long. Okay, that's nice. This is important as well. Like, let's say you're trading two different time frames. You're trading a daily time frame and something smaller, like an hourly or a 30-minute or something like that. You could get signals in both directions. Try in your trading plan, address that situation by making some commentary on it. Okay, so for example, for me, if I'm trading two the same instrument in two directions, because one I had a long based on a short-term trade and one I had a short on a long-term trade, well then it does. I treat them as two separate independent trades, and I try not to get emotion. I don't want a trigger in the other direction to affect my other trade. Okay, so you need to address that so that you know what to do if the situation arises for you. Okay, all right, so Euro Yen, let's just carry on. Let's see what happens. Hopefully we can get to our levels that we're looking for. Kiwi dollar. Oh, this was the most frustrating trade. We had a clear entry. Okay, we tried to get a budget entry. We missed out getting triggered by, on my account, I think I missed out by 10 pips. I didn't get triggered by just simply 10 pips, and then it went straight through to the 2-to-1 target. Okay, did anybody trade this anyway? Did anybody trade this Kiwi dollar short? Can I just get a show of hands? Linda and Ray did. Okay, oh, well done. The signal was there. We voted and we voted to go in via pending order, and we did not get triggered. So obviously that order has been cancelled out. It's not sitting in my system anymore. And I'm looking for my next entry. My plan will remain the same. I'm going to wait and look for a price action entry, and then I'm going to take a short on it. That's my goal for the Kiwi dollar. There is nothing else that's really showing. Let me just zoom out and have another second look. Okie dokes, no, there's nothing else. I'm happy with that. I'm going to wait for a pullback, and when I get that pullback, I'm going to look for a short entry. All right, and if we get it, we'll basically we'll be sellers. That's all we have for the Kiwi dollar. Last one for the week is the Euro Aussie. Okay, we spotted this around about here on this candle, I think it was. We got right up to there, we got the fractal, but we didn't get any entries. There's no clear signal there. There is no signal around these three candles. Nothing there. So look at this one. Let's wait till tomorrow. There's a high probability that we're going to have an inside candle. Okay. With the fractal up there, because this candle is so big, there's a high probability that we're going to get an inside candle. However, if our inside candle looks like this, we don't really want to participate. Let me show you. Let's say that this market goes all the way back up. Let's color it in. and we get a long stick like that. That is still an inside candle. Does everybody agree that that would still be classified as an inside candle? Yes, everybody's in agreement. Somebody's asking why. Okay, yeah, let me explain. The reason why is because this is candle number one, and those are the limits of candle number two. And it is candle number two, the one next to it that I've just drawn, would have an upper limit of there and a bottom limit of there. So this whole area here is completely inside of this whole area over there. Is that clear for everybody now? So therefore, candle number two is completely inside of candle number one. All right. So if tomorrow's candle ends up looking like that green one there that I've just shown you, I do not want to put my pending order. In any case, even if you did, your sell would be down here. It's more than likely that it'll just shoot up a little bit and you have to cancel out your order. Okay? So, but just in case it comes all the way back down, we don't want that. I would prefer a red candle, and I don't want it to be above that parallel line. Okay, I don't want it to close above that line. All right, so those are the things that I'm looking for. So if it finished like it is right now, that would be perfect because there would be my entry, there would be my stop. The only problem there is, have I got enough room to hit a target? I might have to shorten my target a little bit because 2 to 1 would mean we have to break the bottom channel. Okay, so tomorrow morning, let's look at this candle and let's see what it finished, how it finished, and we should be ready to place our sell. Any questions? Off topic, doesn't matter. Ask them. I'll give you an opportunity to type your question in. Let me go back and recap what we have done in the meantime. Aussie dollar, we broke that strong trend line down and we are sellers. We're waiting for a pullback price action entry to sell into the Aussie dollar again. Euro USD, we are on the brink of a channel. There's a good probability that we may have inside candles on the channel, which will give us the opportunity to sell tomorrow morning. As a pending order, don't forget, it's not a market entry. All right, so that's Euro USD. GBP USD is still falling. We've got to wait for it to find a bit of support somewhere, pull back, and then we can try and sell into it again. Gold, we have just spotted a weekly falling wedge, so I'll keep my lines on that so that we can monitor it. On the daily, I got nothing. I've got to wait till I approach those parameters. US yen, it's the worst chart of the lot, so we'll leave it alone. Euro yen, we're currently in a trade, and we just got to play that one out. Kiwi dollar, we're looking for a pullback so we can get an entry, and the Euro Aussie, we're on the border of the channel. We could get an inside candle so we can sell into the Euro Aussie for tomorrow. Okay, that's what we have for this week. Any questions? Anybody have any questions on anything? Question is, what moving averages do I have on my chart, please? This particular profile that I use, the black one is a 24 exponential, and the blue one is a 12 exponential moving average. So it's a 24 and it's a 12. This is the template that I always use. The bottom one is a CCI, and I've got a line drawn at 150 and minus 150, and I've got a fractal indicator simply to indicate to me the little markings on my charts. That's the standard template that I use for these classes. Any other questions? Could I have a look at the Aussie yen? Yeah, why not? I've got time. Aussie yen. Where is my Aussie yen? Hmm. Very, very similar to the Aussie US. Important that we've taken all of that out well and truly over here. Okay, Aussie yen, it would be similar to the Aussie dollar. We have to wait for the market to come back a bit and see if we can find an opportunity to sell into it. Okay, if we want to sell, we would want to sell a rally. What uses the CCI for price action? Simon, it's actually no use at all, but I use this profile effectively. I'm using I've done this for so long. When these two moving averages get in order and the CCI is there, I've virtually got a T chaser. So rather than change to another profile, it just helps me spot the T chaser. That's all. So the answer is it doesn't have any use for CCI for price action. Okay. Any other questions? Anyone? All right, then we will call it a day. We will Thursday we'll resume back to the normal time. I've just had so many things on, and I just had to juggle to make the class to make Thursday's class. Some of you may have just got a recording as well. Other than that, have a great afternoon. Make sure that you keep an eye on when news is due for the currency pair that you're trading, and I'll see you all on Thursday at 3:30 as always. Take care. Bye for now.